What's going on, people? This is Shok. I just got done from seeing the Venom movie, and I told you guys I'd have a review up by the end of this week. Well, technically it's Sunday, so it's like the first day of the week or whatever. But it's within 7 days of which I said that, so technically it's within the week. But we're not going to get into all that technicality. Um, but I saw the movie, and I tried to go into the movie as unbiased as possible. As possible, I can't speak. Kind of drop preconceived notions, give it a legitimate fair chance, despite the fact that the movie had some overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics and just regular folk alike. So it wasn't really looking good. And to get straight to the point, that being said, what do I think about the movie? I don't think it was quite as bad as most people make it out to be. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was okay. I don't even know if I would honestly say it was necessarily average. It was watchable. It was watchable, but I'll give an actual score towards the end of the video. Let's talk about the actual movie itself. And let me also put this out there. I've never read a Venom comic in my life. Anytime I've seen Venom in the comics or whatever, he's just been like, a character appearing in a much larger story or something like that. So I don't know too much specifically about Venom himself, his origin story, things of that nature. So I don't know how accurate or inaccurate the movie was with things, so on and so forth. But the movie starts off and just kind of right off the gate, it's super just rapid fire. That's the first thing you'll notice about this movie is that the pace is very, very just kind of just rushed along, and the movie's just kind of like, okay, let's go over here now. Okay, now let's go on over here, and okay, it doesn't really take time to like slow burn ideas to kind of like set up ideas and stuff like that. It just kind of forcibly feeds you an idea, and you accept it and you move on because that idea needs to be established to get to the rest of the scenes and to progress with the movie's story. You see what I'm saying? So you don't really have much time to think about things, take things in. The movie's just kind of like, okay, this is what you need to know. This, and that, and this, and that, and this is going to lead to this, and this is why this is happening, this, and that. I'm sure that doesn't make too much sense, but accept that it's happening because we need to get this character from here to there. It just kind of has that type of pace, and it's kind of, it can be kind of tiring to keep up with. And that's the first thing you'll basically notice about this movie. It definitely does not take its time establishing things, getting intricate with ideas and story elements or anything like that. It's all just kind of rapid fire, rapid pace. What's the name of the actor?
You asking me?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Let me see. I don't know how I forgot this dude's freaking name because he's pretty well known. Freaking Tom, yeah, Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy, in the beginning of the movie, initially, I kind of didn't like his acting. I kind of didn't like his character. But once he got Venom, then when he was able to, interact with Venom, then that's kind of when his character actually became likable, and I feel like the acting got a little better. But before he got to that point, I don't know, the character was honestly just kind of annoying, a little dumb. And he's supposed to, he's a reporter and he's supposed to be this like really smart guy, but the movie doesn't really do a good job of really portraying the fact that he's smart because he honestly doesn't do a single smart thing, in the entire movie. So it's just kind of, a clash of ideas. He's supposed to be this, really sly and slick reporter, really, cunning and, smart and highly intelligent. Matter of fact, his boss calls him, one of the dumbest smart people he knows. But again, like I said, not one time during that movie does he exhibit really any ounce of intelligence or, a smart play, something he did that tricked the bad guys or something, nothing like that really happens. So the movie, tells you, hey, this guy's really smart, but it really doesn't show you any examples of that. I thought that was really weird and really confusing. Another thing I kind of noticed generally throughout the movie is you could tell a lot of these scenes were done in a lot of takes because there was a lot of instances where something should have been in the scene and then it cuts and then it's suddenly no longer there. I know that's something super nitpicky. That's just how I am. I'm a very analytical person. I notice those things when they happen. So, like, let's say, for instance, like, Venom bites someone's head off, and this happens, like, towards the end of the movie. It's not really a spoiler because they've kind of shown the part in the trailers. But, at the convenience store where Venom, like, bites this guy's head off, and, he's supposed to leave the body on the ground. And then the camera kind of cuts towards, like, the entrance of the convenience store looking inside. And there's not a body on the ground. There's not even any blood, right? Although Venom totally just bit someone's head off, but then no one is there. Once the scene cuts to a different angle, all of a sudden, there's no carcass or anything, no blood, nothing. And speaking of instances where Venom actually appears, one thing that really bothered me about this movie is that a lot of the characters who have no idea what's going on, they don't really seem to be shocked to see this big alien nigga, like, pokey, like, with sharp teeth. They're not really that shocked. Like, seeing here, right? Like, Venom bites this dude's head off in front of the convenience store worker, and she's like a little scared, like, well, what's going on? But she's not terrified. Something like Venom, you would think people would be terrified to see. This big, bulky, black alien thing with a long tongue and sharp teeth and these scary-looking eyes. And a lot of people are just like, whoa, what is that? But they're not terrified. They're not screaming. They're not running away. His ex-girlfriend sees Venom, and, of course, he, puts Venom back inside himself or whatever, and he chases after her. And she stops and talks to him and says, like, okay, get in my car. We're going to go to the hospital. It's like, where is your sense of self-preservation, right? If you see this big, black, demonic-looking thing come out of someone's body, and then they put it up when they see you and start running towards you, you're not going to be trusting of that, right? You're not going to be okay with that. Like, oh, I know this person, so maybe it's okay. No, you're going to run and get the fuck out of there. And speaking of his ex-girlfriend, kind of early on in the movie, they break up or whatever. And guys, honestly, none of these are spoilers because the story really isn't that important to this movie. If you want to see this movie, you're going to want to see it to just see some Venom action. The story is nothing to really worry about. There isn't even any plot twist. It's very run-of-the-mill, cliche, by the numbers, story progression. But yeah, I was saying, the ex-girlfriend is established early on after they break up that she wants nothing to do with this guy. But then later in the movie, when he meets her new boyfriend and stuff, and she's still being standoffish, the next time she sees him, all of a sudden her and the new boyfriend are suddenly very willing to help him and very friendly towards him, although she was telling him to stay away, get away from me, I want nothing to do with you, we're done. But then he, like, crashes their dinner, and all of a sudden they're, like, super helpful and buddy-buddy with him and super trusting. And so it was just kind of jarring because there was nothing really that was done or said to make either of those characters all of a sudden very accepting of Eddie, right? It really didn't make any sense. It felt like there was a lot of scenes or events in between to where maybe, Eddie kind of gained some of her trust back and befriended the new boyfriend a little bit or something, but they're just incredibly understanding of everything, although this guy has some alien symbiote inside of him, and they're not that shocked, And kind of like back to what I said about people who aren't really involved in the core of the story not being shocked when they see Venom. The girl's boyfriend didn't really seem shocked himself. I mean, he was like, what is that? But he wasn't terrified. He wasn't confused for more than 5 seconds. And it kind of seems like a lot of characters in the movie, they just kind of understand what's going on with the symbiotes and everything by osmosis. Because nothing is actually explained to the characters, yet the characters are very accepting and understanding of the circumstances, despite not having those things explained to them at all. You see what I'm saying? So it just really seems like, it almost seems like there was multiple writers, like maybe 19 writers of this movie, and there was like loss in communication while they're like passing on what they've written to the next person, and people didn't fill in the blanks, or there wasn't any cohesiveness and stuff like that. I don't know, just very, very weird story progression and just sequence of events. It was just really strange. The action sequences were, I'd say they're pretty cool. Right? Action sequences pretty cool, pretty okay. I wouldn't say they were amazing or anything. They're not necessarily something we haven't seen before, but they were entertaining. I mean, Venom was like picking up dudes by the legs and like using them as a baseball bat for like the rest of the people. You know, that was fun to see. You know, a lot of people talked about the whole this should be an R-rated movie thing. I definitely agree with that because, you know, one of the shticks, I guess you could say, of the movie was Venom biting people's heads off, and he does it 3 times in the movie, but none of those 3 times do you actually see the head get bitten off because they have to have the PG-13 rating, right? So it's just kind of weird that, you know, they would have repeating ideas of that, you know, something that visceral, but then also not show it. You see what I'm saying? So if you're not going to show something like someone getting their head bit off like that and things of that nature, you probably just shouldn't have it in the movie, period. Like, especially like the end scene, right? Where he bites the guy's head off in the convenience store. You don't see it. You don't even see the head go over the other guy's head. He just goes like that towards the camera and it cuts, and you don't see the guy's body after that, right? So you don't really get the satisfaction of seeing someone actually get their head bitten off. I think this movie should have definitely went the Logan or Deadpool route and had a rated R rating, because I think that just would have made a lot of the ideas and just the idea of Venom, you know, as an anti-hero like he is, just a lot more enjoyable if we were able to see the full extent of Venom. Especially if they plan on doing a Carnage movie or something like that. I don't know how they're going to do a Carnage movie PG-13, because that would just make no sense. There's a couple of, and I know I'm saying all bad things, but there are some good redeeming things. I'll get to more of them later. Like I said, the action scenes were pretty cool, pretty okay. But there's a couple of ideas in this movie that get brought up and then they're just kind of never talked about or explained again that I noticed. For instance, the question is brought up whether or not the host is killing, it's not just the host, Venom is killing Eddie. And the girl's boyfriend, who was a doctor, is like, hey man, this parasite thing is killing you. And then Venom's like, no, I'm not. And so Eddie gets separated from Venom. Venom escapes through the vents, and then Venom finds his way back, you know, to Eddie, whatever. I'm not going to say how, because that'd probably be a spoiler or whatever. But Venom gets back to Eddie because Eddie needs Venom to like stop the, you know, main bad guy or whatever. But then it's never questioned again whether or not Venom was actually killing Eddie, right? The girl's boyfriend was a doctor. He was looking at his, you know, test reports or whatever. So it's not like he was making things up. He saw that his body was actually, you know, shutting down and getting worse. And then Eddie was like, oh, I can't trust you, Venom. I thought I could trust you. I thought you said we were in this together. And then, you know, Venom gets back to him, and Eddie doesn't question Venom again, right? We never get back to the whole, is Venom killing him? Is Venom, you know, a detriment to his body? That never really gets explored. So that's I would say a moderately sizable story element that doesn't get explored or answered, and it just kind of gets ignored. So again, it just kind of seems like there's huge portions of the movie missing. I remember Tom Hardy said that 40 minutes of it had gotten cut or something like that. I don't know if maybe in some of those 40 minutes, you know, explain and explore some of these more story elements and things of that nature, and these weird editing cuts that I noticed throughout the movie. But I don't know, there's just a lot of inconsistencies in this movie, and that's the main thing I can say about this movie, is that it's incredibly inconsistent. And this would probably be the last criticism I have of this movie before I talk about the things I liked and go ahead and end the review. But the tone is not what you would expect. You kind of expect this, you know, dark movie about this murderous alien dude or something like that, right? You know, this governmental thing, kind of conspiracy type of thing going on. Kind of, like I said, a darker, more serious tone. It's honestly not like that at all. Like I said, I haven't I haven't read the Venom comics, so I don't necessarily know what the tone of the Venom comics are, but I don't think they were like the tone of this movie, because this movie actually had a kind of light-hearted tone, and the movie tried really hard to be funny, and some of it was funny. I would say as the movie went on, the jokes and the humor definitely got funnier. It kind of picked up, you know, once Eddie got Venom in him, but then before he gets Venom, the movie kind of tries to be funny on quite a few occasions, and it kind of makes you scratch your head at first, because again, what you expect the tone of the movie to be going into it, you get something completely different from what you're expecting. So they try to go for these jokes and these quips, and maybe they were funny, but they just confuse you because you're confused as to why this movie is trying to make so many jokes. You see what I'm saying? But once you get further into the movie, you understand the tone that the movie is going for. then you will actually chuckle and laugh a couple of times because there are some genuinely funny moments in the movie between Venom and Eddie. Like I said, that's kind of when the character of Eddie became more likable, and the interactions between those two really saves the movie from being a complete and utter failure, basically. But yeah, it was kind of, if you guys have seen the recent Predator movie, it's kind of like that, right? The old Predator movies are really serious and gritty and whatnot, and while this new one had some grit here and there, like the Predator movie was like really freaking funny, and it kind of confuses you at first. It's like, wait a minute, why am I laughing in Predator? You see what I'm saying? That's like laughing your ass off in an Alien movie. That it doesn't make sense. Venom is pretty much along those same lines. Again, like I said, at least for me, I expected a more serious, darker tone. A movie with more meat and not content. Content's not the substance. A movie with more substance. But it really doesn't have that. It really kind of feels like a Saturday morning cartoon sometimes. And that's not necessarily a terrible thing. Again, it's just kind of jarring because I guess you could say it's subversive. You don't expect this movie to go for this type of angle, to go for this type of personality and tone, but it does. And it doesn't necessarily fail with it. It just takes you a while to adjust and understand that that's what the movie is going for. And once you accept that, then you're able to actually somewhat enjoy the movie. You see what I'm saying? So once you're like, okay, so this movie is supposed to be about this crazy alien guy and his crazy interactions with his host and, the things he makes him do, the things that he needs, and Eddie trying to, compromise with him. That's the whole gist of the movie, and it's kind of funny. Once you accept that that's what they're going for, then you can actually enjoy the movie. But until that point, you'll just be kind of confused, and you'll be like, this movie's kind of weird, and I'm not really enjoying it right now. You know what I mean? I think Venom's design was good. The CG, a little subpar. It wasn't awful. It wasn't awful by any means. It was serviceable, but I definitely thought the CG and special effects could have been better. Venom and the other symbiote, Riot, they look kind of really plasticky a lot of the time. I just felt like things could have been looking a little bit more, not necessarily realistic, because there's nothing realistic about these two things. But you guys know what I mean, a little bit more grounded. Like I said, they look just really rubbery and extra shiny. I think they could have toned that down a bit to give them more grounded, rooted look type deal. And I kind of mentioned these things already, but to kind of not end it on a completely bad note, like I said, I'll say the latter half of the movie, it was kind of funny. I laughed. We laughed a few times. It had some, like I said, some genuinely funny moments. The action was pretty okay. It was pretty good. Trying to think what else. Honestly, that's really all it was. A couple of good action scenes, and so yeah, some genuinely funny moments. I guess I already talked about the things I actually liked about it. And I know it seems like it was a mostly bad review, and I guess you could say it was. But despite everything I said, those two things that I enjoyed, I guess, but I'm just going off how I feel, were good enough to make me not totally regret my purchase of the ticket. You see what I'm saying? So when I grade movies, particularly on a scale, I consider a 5 mediocre. Anything below 5, starting with 4, is a bad movie. Anything above 5, starting with 6, gets into, decent to good, so on and so forth. So I consider 5 being that like in between watchable movie, mostly leaning on the bad side, but it's completely watchable and it does have some redeeming factors. And that's where I'd put Venom. Honestly, I'd get a Venom of 5 out of 10. I don't think it was a 4 or a 3. I've seen a lot of people give it like 2s and 3s. I don't think it was that bad. Like, the movie didn't make me cringe watching it. You know what I mean? Like I said, mostly the bad thing the movie did to me was just confuse me with its tone, because I had no idea the writers would be going for, this type of angle with the tone and whatnot. But like I said, it was watchable. It definitely has some entertainment value. Would I watch it again? Yeah, I'd watch it again. Not in theaters, of course. I wouldn't pay money to watch it again. But if that's something that came out in Blu-ray, I would and probably download it, and support the director and and watch the movie again. Yeah, like let's say I had some friends like, oh, I haven't seen that. I heard it's on Blu-ray. I'd get that and watch it with some friends again. I totally do that. When I watch it on my own, probably not. But this is, I'd say it's a pretty okay Blu-ray movie to see. This isn't a movie I think no at all that you would have to see in theaters. It's definitely a movie you could wait for. Like I said, 5 out of 10. It's not really good, but it's not really bad either. It's watchable. It's a thing to watch. It's a movie to watch. If you're bored and you don't want to see an entirely terrible movie, and you're semi interested in comic books or you don't mind fantasy things and stuff like that, and if you want to kind of a quirky movie that's kind of weird, Venom's a good watch. Like if you have some money and you're just like, man, I'm bored today, yeah, go see Venom. But if you're like, I'm really interested in Venom, should I see it in theaters? I wouldn't say so, unless like I said, you're just bored and you need absolutely something to do. But otherwise, yeah. So I didn't think the movie was a complete failure. I think a lot of people kind of overstress how bad it was. And like I said, I'm well aware that I gave more negatives than I did positives. But I also realized the fact that I'm a very over analytical person. And a lot of the things that I will say about a movie, most people either wouldn't be bothered about or they didn't notice in the first place, like bodies missing from a scene that should be there on the floor, and stuff like that. But if you don't care about substance and deep writing and stuff like that, and proper story progression and pace, because there's a lot of people that don't like those things, which are the people who like The Last Jedi, which was a terrible movie. Yeah, you'll have fun with the movie. If you're just one of those people who like, I don't care about all this. I don't care about like, the art form, of a movie, the directing quality of a movie and all that. I just want to see something that'll entertain me, that's flashy. Oh yeah, by all means, go see Venom. If you're one of those people, go see Venom. You'll like it. If you're more of a critic like I am, and you're more of an analytical person when it comes to things like movies and video games, it might be mediocre or bad to you. I'll just straight up. I don't really think a super analytical or critical person would actually say that the movie was good or great. I don't think that would happen. But like I said, for me, it was watchable. I didn't necessarily regret my ticket purchase at all. So not too bad, but not particularly good either. But that's it for my Venom review, guys. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Also, I did go ahead and trade in my broken PS4. I'm gonna be using my roommates, and I got Black Ops 4 for with the store credit or whatever. So I will be streaming this. I'll probably be streaming tonight, maybe at like 11 or 12, depending on when I get this homework done. So if you guys want to see the blackout mode or just a regular multiplayer mode or even the zombies, whichever you guys want to see first, I will be streaming that. And I believe Soul Calibur comes out on Friday, and I will be getting that game day one, and I will be live streaming that as well. As far as the Smash 4 review goes, guys, I didn't have the time. I forgot there's 2 tournaments this weekend that I did. So my Friday and my Saturday were largely dedicated to those 2 tournaments, which I ended up winning, by the way. Yay me. So I didn't have the time to get that Smash 4 review done, so I will have to delay that a bit. But I definitely want to get this Venom review out on time at least. But the Smash 4 review will come sometime later this week, probably Friday or Saturday is when I will have that done and up for you guys. So look forward to that as well. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Venom, guys. Like I said before, let me know what you guys thought about the movie. I thought it was watchable, and that's pretty much all I can really say about it. But that's it for this video, y'all. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.